It inspired me when I saw other women talking about their financial situation and how they got out of a bad situation or whatever it is. I realized, like, hey, I know nothing about stocks, nothing about finance. I kind of been sheltered my whole life. I started talking about how I had become disabled and my invisible disability as a stroke survivor. And I had ended up talking about it on my stream. I put it onto TikTok and I talked more about my story in that moment, sharing a more vulnerable side of me. And that video completely blew up and changed the way I thought about how I was going to run my socials, and that being vulnerable or being true to myself wasn't a bad thing. Taking that first step, talking about it online, posting about it, redefining what I thought a creator should look like. At the end of the day, what won for me was realizing, like, I have this story. I should just be okay with being perceived as different and sharing my own unique takes on things through my worldview.
Thanks for coming on to the show. Can you please maybe give the audience, the people who don't know you, a little bit of introduction about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Lonnie. I'm a streamer. I variety streamer. So I stream games, but often these days I do more chatting. A lot of my content revolves around finance and mental health and talking about my life as a creator with a disability.
All right,
So,
cool. When did you start? That's one thing I actually don't know.
okay, I started back in 2019, 2020 when TikTok had turned into TikTok from, prior it was called Musically.
Hmm.
So right around that time, the first few months when it rebranded, I had started in high school back when the quarantine was starting right around 2019, 2020. So Avatar TikTok was huge, cosplayer TikTok was just starting out. So I started like cosplaying from Avatar and making like makeup videos. And that's kind of where I got my start, like lip syncing skit type videos.
Oh,
So I was
shoot.
16, probably 16, 15 at the time when I started.
2016.
Or
No, 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 no. You
2019.
were 16 at
Yes.
2019.
So like
Okay,
5-ish years ago or so. Yeah.
cool. And then how did that eventually evolve into you doing more variety and then talking about, like financial transparency and all the stuff you're doing right now?
I went into it like streaming. I wanted to play video games. So initially, I started out doing whatever content I could find. I didn't have a PC when I started, but I had the end goal of doing streaming stuff. And later on, maybe like 2, 3 years ago, I started doing more financial related stuff because I saw a lot more streamers were talking about finance. For me as a woman, it inspired me when I saw other women talking about their financial situation and how they got out of a bad situation or whatever it is. I realized, like, hey, I know nothing about stocks, nothing about finance. I kind of been sheltered my whole life. So when I found people that had these resources online, I kind of wanted to take after them. And I started making videos and budget breakdowns of my own, probably about 1 to 2 years ago, or roughly in that ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, it's kinda rough, right? Because depending on, like, what school you go to and whatnot, you don't really learn about personal finances.
No, for sure. I never got taught any of that stuff. Maybe they're like, here's how you buy a house. And we had like one econ or government class about it for one day. And that's basically all the education you get about finance or money.
Yeah, especially when, like, it's such a big topic, right? Like, econ, it's gonna cover, like you said, in one day, and so by the end of, like, the semester, you just kinda forgot about what you learned, like, you're just trying to pass the class.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. Like I didn't remember a single thing.
Mhm. What was kind of, like, the most surprising thing you've learned once you started doing, like, more learning more about finances?
I think how many avenues there are for us to make money, or like, all these different pockets and banks and all these things you can put your money in to get a return back. I always thought like, hey, a bank is a bank, a card is a card. I've never looked or thought about shopping around for credit cards or like getting advantage or tax advantage retirement accounts. I never knew anything about that. So when I looked into it and realized like how much the average person doesn't know about money and how unfortunately ignorant a lot of the average, people are. That kinda opened my eyes to how much opportunity is out there if we get smarter with our money. And I just never knew about those accounts because no one ever, no one really explains these things to you when you're younger.
I know that, like, you post a lot, like, publicly about wanting to help out your mom. Did that come from, or did that become stronger, in feeling after learning more about finances, thinking like, "Oh my gosh, this is actually possible," right? Now that I learned how the game works, like, it feels less, unattainable.
Yes, I think so. Because when a lot of us are young and in college, at least a lot of my friends are like, "Oh, you have to spend." A lot of them are spending every paycheck going completely to their car or to going out, and that's totally fine too, it's your life. But I guess, a lot of what we're told when we're younger is like, "Just spend all your money, don't worry about it, that's a later problem," and a lot of us are cornered into this, like, hopelessness to think like, "Oh, you'll never afford a house, don't even try." But when you are given the tools and the resources to learn, I feel like obviously education and money is our power. So the more we learn about it, the more that we slowly gain money and work on it, then we can actually work towards these goals and making it feasible. So for me, it became more real when I realized, like, hey, my mutuals that started around the same time make the same content as me. They skilled up from no income to making like 5, 10, 15K a month. If they can do it and they have these tools, I can do it. I can do my research. And it became that much more real to me and more tangible. Like one of my friends, she owns a clothing business. She bought her house at 20, like last year. So
Dang,
if she
let's
can do
go.
it, yeah, I'm like, I think once we have the tools and we build ourselves up, I think we can do it too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What was your major, by the way?
I'm a business major. I'm
Oh, okay,
still
so
in
it
the
kinda goes
community.
hand in hand, like,
Yeah.
what you're doing, okay. 'Cause I was thinking, like, if your major was something completely different, like comp sci, and then the content creation, I know, like, some people have that struggle, right? It's like, I'm learning how to do this, and this is, like, my traditional route, this is what I was originally gonna do, but then I found the love for content creation, I feel like I can do this full time, but then they have to, like, figure out, like, if is it still worth it for me to go to school and finish this degree, or should I, like,
Right.
go full into content? But because you're a business major, like, content is business.
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll, like, help. I'm glad I went into business because I heard that was a major you pick when you don't know what you're doing. I had, like, no sense of ambition after high school, and then I
Mhm.
found money, and I found streaming, and I found a lot of happiness doing that kind of stuff, and I realized, "Oh, business is gonna fit perfectly."
So during the let me see, 16, 17. So 2020, was that your freshman year?
20
2021?
No, I think I was in my sophomore year. I remember because I dropped out of Spanish, or went on quarantine halfway through my Spanish,
Oh, that's right. Okay.
so I was a
Yeah.
sophomore at the time.
Sophomore in high
High school.
school. Okay.
Yes.
So what year in college are you now?
I'm in technically my 3rd year, but the way I, like, stagger my classes, I take, like, a lighter load. It's, like, gonna
Mhm.
take me a little longer. I have another semester and a half to get through, and then I'm done with community. I'm in my 3rd year technically of community college.
Okay, not bad. Oh yeah, and you're saving a lot of money too by going community.
Yes, that was the goal. Mhm.
That's nice. Oh, so that means you live at home too, right?
I moved out with my mom, so we have an apartment now.
You have an apartment, but you're not like sorry, the question was more like you're not on campus or anything.
Oh, right, no, I'm not paying for dorming. I've seen how much it costs for my brother to go. It's like, oh, like, was it 8,000 sometimes, 10,000 a semester, depending on where you
Mhm.
go? Pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get the comfort of your own bedroom. You don't need
Yes.
to I remember when I went to college and like say the dorm was only for freshmen. And then the second place I went to, you only could lease it for like a year. So every year I had to unpack and repack. I
That's
mean,
terrible.
yeah, and it was just so much
Yeah.
moving and I was 6 hours away from school too.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was I was just
Yeah, I
it felt
can't.
like I was moving every single year. So you just get your setup, you could, however you want and you're like, you're good.
You're right. Right, it's not as stressful. Just quick commute to school, quick commute back.
Mhm. You have
Mhm.
laundry, home cooked food.
Yeah, it's the best, and I know dorm Wi-Fi I heard is not the best, so you don't have enough space sometimes to do the content that people wanna do in their dorms. I
Right.
give major props to people.
Yeah, or if you're, like, sharing it with people, you have to be a bit more considerate. Say, like, maybe some people like to sleep hella early, or maybe they're rowdy and it's harder for you to do your work.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Mhm.
good, that's good. Um, so you had no idea what you wanted to do, like, in terms of a career before content?
Yeah, I had no idea, I didn't really know.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. So
Mhm.
what's your I guess, like, what's I don't wanna say end goal. I don't necessarily believe in end goals. I just had this conversation with another creator yesterday.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, there's a guy named Simon Sinek, and, he's actually, like, a really good public speaker. He teaches leadership to entrepreneurs and business owners and stuff like that.
Right.
And he has this book that's relatively new. It's called The Infinite Game. And without diving deep into everything, the main concept of it is that business is an infinite game, right? There's no ending to the game unless you quit.
Mhm.
So there's technically no such thing as an end game because the game just keeps on progressing, the game just keeps on evolving. And so my what I wonder is what is kind of like the evolution of what you're trying to do next? Like how are you gonna elevate your content after college per se, when you have way more time to do whatever it is you wanna do?
That's a good question. I've been honestly kind of torn. I've been in between. I make a lot of different content, and usually what you're told by a lot of people, your own audience even, is like, "Oh, stick to this topic." Or like you have some followers that come from, my finance stuff or some from my mental health stuff, my old makeup content I used to make. So it's kind of hard to figure that out. For me, I'm like torn between two things. I want to almost do a mix at this point is where I landed between doing streaming content and just chatting, mental health stuff, fun little events like that. And sharing more of my story and being very personality based or based on me versus
Mhm.
also making finance content that specifically like empowers or give resources to people that maybe didn't have it growing up or are looking to hear more about my journey on the finance side though maybe not as much my personality anymore. So I'm like torn between what I want to do because I was playing around with the idea of tutorial content at one point and I realized what makes me the happiest is just doing my own thing on my streams, more based on my storytelling component of my content and my finance content and trying to bring that together. Because I one day my one of my stretch goals when I hopefully get and grow larger is I want to write a book one day, either regarding my story or just like talking about money and how I learned about money, and furthering my education in that field as well.
Oh, man, that's actually super inspiring. I think you are the first person I met who wanted to write a book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, not even creator, like, first person in general who so that's really cool. I wanna like, now
Mhm.
you're in my mind, I'm gonna keep, keep updated on that, and hopefully one day I could go buy your book from, like, Amazon or Barnes& and Nobles or something.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
ambitious.
Thank you.
What do you think about, your content now? Like, is there something that you wish you could do better?
I think a lot of my content lacks a little bit of like substance. It's kind of a lot of my videos are all over the place and I'll just like copy or like take inspiration from whatever is trending and who I look up to without ever taking the time to reflect and think, how can I make this better? How can I edit this or do a clearer, organization, storytelling in this video? I'll kind of just throw whatever up to see what performs and what doesn't. Right now, I feel like because I'm in an exploratory phase, I just have to figure that out. Which is why I'm happy I'm going to be signing to management this month as soon as I can get us all together decided again. And they were like gently telling me like I love your content, I love your story. You have a spark to you. I think you can do really well. One thing I would want you to stray away from, this or like e-commerce and like focus more on you, your personality, your story. And I took that to heart because they've helped other creators like refine their story. And I realized like sometimes I'm just lacking a little bit of guidance in my content. So I
Mhm.
would want like a similar theme going through all my videos, whether it's finance or a stream clip. I want it to all have a similar like tone. So I'm working on that on my story and what kind of energy I want to bring to all my platforms like pretty consistently.
Oh, man. Alright, now you got me really excited because that's a
Yeah.
lot of the stuff I talk to creators about too,
Oh
right?
wow. Mhm.
Yeah, what their personal branding is, like, the voice and tone, the look and feel of, everything that they do, right? Being consistent across all platforms and making sure that the way you present yourself is the same way across the board, so when people see you, they're like, "Oh, I know exactly what you're about." They can
Mhm.
make an association, um, they can associate different things to you, like, very quickly, and it's very
Right.
clear, like, who you are. You mentioned story a lot, and then that makes me happy because I think not enough creators talk about story, whether it's telling their own story or integrating storytelling into their content. Like, what I don't even know how to ask the question. Just like, what do you think about story? How did that come about for you?
I think for the longest time when I started social media, I was like, from what we saw, I was kind of very mainstream. It was just TikTok was just dancing, it was just cosplaying. And people were very like secretive about who they were. We didn't get all these accounts like talking about their life or storytelling wasn't huge yet. So maybe a year or two into TikTok, I was streaming for a year or two at this point, I was streaming Minecraft. And one stream, like it came up somehow, maybe someone saw my medication bottle in the back or something. I started talking about how I had become disabled and my invisible disability as a stroke survivor. And I had ended up talking about it on my stream and I clipped it, I put it onto TikTok and I talked more about my story in that moment, sharing a more vulnerable side of me. And that video completely blew up and changed the way I thought about how I was going to run my socials and that being vulnerable or being true to myself wasn't a bad thing. People weren't only here because I was pretty, I had a story to tell, and I started social media somewhere in my heart knowing I was going to open up about it one day. So that kinda changed the game for me because it went viral. I felt more connected with my audience, and they felt like they could gain something from me and what I had to say. And ever since that moment, like, I would open up slowly more and more through the next couple years until I'm, like, talking about it pretty much, like, monthly here or there, answering questions about it, and doing advocacy work in the community as much as I can.
So it was the vulnerability that was kind of the first step to allowing you to explore telling more stories about yourself and being more open with everything that you've been through.
Right.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like your story about being uh a stroke survivor and your invisible disability? Like some people may not understand what that means.
Yeah, I had a blood clot when I was 10 in my brain. So I was told to sleep it off by my family. It happened at a party. We couldn't really go to the hospital. It was hectic. And then when I woke up in the morning the next day, I couldn't walk or use any part of my left side of my body at all. So I took a couple years, a couple months to relearn how to walk, and I was in and out of the hospital. And the way that that manifested in my daily life, it was really hard for me to go to school. I had to have wheelchair, like an arm sling, and I had someone, at school appointed to watch me the whole time or whatever. So in college and driving, that kind of showed up in me being a little bit more anxious, or it's a little bit harder for me to learn how to drive or hit the right turn signal, whatever it is. So in my daily life, it was hard for me to adjust mobility wise and to show up online. And I did a pretty good job of hiding it for a while. I I was taught kind of, or I felt like I picked it up online that vulnerability was seen as weakness. Every other creator you saw blowing up, they were dancing, they're doing makeup. You got a very small glimpse into their life, and there was no story at first. At least I feel like with the first bit of people I saw blowing up, maybe the big YouTubers that had made it, I'd seen them open up or do a draw my life. But being vulnerable to me, like, looked like just talking in depth about what had happened to me, how it affected me, and to admit that I felt weak and I felt a little bit isolated. And that's not something I saw a lot of people talking about at the time. I didn't even know how to go about it. It was kind of just throwing stuff down on paper, showing it to people in my community, and being like, hey, this is how I feel. And it was, I don't know if there was like a single moment it happened. I was just me slowly starting to talk about it more, and all the ways that I struggled in life and not knowing how to ask for help. And that was what being vulnerable looked like for me. Like taking that first step, talking about it online, posting about it, redefining what I thought a creator should look like, at least for me in my house.
Mhm. It's gonna sound really cheesy because it's a very like oversaid thing, but it's very brave of you to be able to share something so I guess like scary. The experience is scary, and the fact that you are can be labeled different than other people. That's scary, you know. And
Right.
then we're gonna talk about the trolls that in a second. But like, how did you have any reservations about sharing that story and continuing to do that? And if you did, like, how did you get over it?
I think I did initially because I thought it was just kind of weird. I wanted to be like this streamer, this creator, and like offline TV. I wanted to be like the mainstream people, and the mainstream people that we were kind of shown and taught to look up to. They were usually conventionally attractive, like had their dream life already. They didn't seem anything physically wrong with them, like wrong, obviously, but I don't know. I didn't want to talk about it. And what I was scared of is because I know how mean the internet is to people that were already able bodied or, fit into all the boxes and did well in their careers, and they were still hated on. So for me to go online, have already built like 30,000, 40,000 people up that didn't know I was disabled, I feel like at the moment I thought I would just be throwing my career away if I opened up about it. Or I thought I would take in, new audience, but that would be a trade off because people would not view me as something to look up to anymore, someone they thought was pretty or I guess aspirational anymore once they found out that I was like hiding this from them or a part of me that I was scared to open up about. But at the end of the day, what won for me was realizing like I have this story. There's so many disabled makeup creators I looked up to at the time that I should just be okay with being perceived as different and sharing my own unique takes on things through my worldview. And yeah, I don't know. This took some time to get to where that was. I knew that trolls were so mean, so I was very hesitant because even the first time I opened up about it, it was overwhelmingly positive, but the occasional mean comment will kind of just ruin your whole day and make you feel like you're wrong for sharing something that happened to you. And they'll like kind of dig deep. Now that you are vulnerable, I feel like once you are vulnerable, trolls will get in your head because they know what to leverage against you. They can kind of guess what an insecurity is of yours now because you took so long to share it. Or you shared it omitting a couple details that people can dig into and use against you online, which kinda sucks.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially when they try to take things out of context,
That
right?
too. Yeah.
Mhm. I guess since sharing, like, your perspective on everything kind of has changed, right? Like, how you
Mhm.
initially thought that, "Oh my gosh, like, if I share this, it's not I won't be as aspirational anymore." And then all of a sudden you, found people that was like, "No, this is really inspirational. This is great because, you're not perfect." I mean, realistically, no one is, but then, like, you're not um, the stereotypical definition of perfect, right?
Yeah.
And it makes other people feel like, oh, it's okay to share my story too, or it's okay to talk about these things, or I'm like, I'm not, I'm not weird for having a disability.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives people the space to open up to, like I've heard and read and connected with so many other disabled or invisibly disabled creators and streamers now, and connected with even just random people over text and bonding over a story and giving us space to open up or seek help. I feel like once you start posting about that kind of stuff, it's, double-edged sword, of course, but for me, it is always going to be worth it if I get to meet people like that.
Hmm. Has positives helped you outweigh the negatives of the trolls?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't think I would have done as well as I have these last few months unless I did start posting that kind of content, talking about it, and I felt more open and comfortable about it. Now it's kind of just I see it as another piece of me. The same way, like, oh, I happen to be born with, like brown hair or something. It's kind of you realize it's a piece of you, and it's for me, it strengthened my sense of self. And I got actually a lot more well connected. I would have never found management. I would have never found incredible creators to connect with unless I had my own story. And I mean, I think it's worth it in the end because you're gonna get an occasional troll comment, but that only boosts your engagement. It boosts the eyes on your content and you connect with your true audience. So I think it's all worth it in the end.
Yeah. How did you just like one more question on this topic. Like how did you like both I guess mentally and maybe in another way um deal with the trolls? Because I remember seeing multiple times on Twitter when you were saying like, you had an army of trolls just leaving negative comments on every single video. And I went to check on it. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is horrible. Like it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I find that social media comment sections, it's a mixed bag. For sometimes, I think besides these last 2 months where I've had posts talking about my disability doing really well and my comments have been either medium, mixed, and overwhelmingly positive, besides these last month, month or 2, like, I think for 5 or 6 months straight, it was just, like, hate comments would fill all of my social media. I was posting gaming content, Valorant content, whatever, talking about my disability, and all the comments were negative for probably 6 months in a row, and I was like, "When is this gonna end?" Like, I've never seen it this bad before. I don't know, it took a lot of self-reflection because I've never done well with hate comments. I feel like every couple months I would have something go wrong or I'd address them and it just wouldn't go well and it wouldn't, it's a lot for me to take in and process. And I don't know, it was getting towards the end of the 6 months, I was getting really fed up. And I just realized that on days like those, I had to take a step back. If I needed to find someone who understood, who's in the industry or close to me to vent to, I'd vent to them and feel like usually, at least for me, when I'm annoyed at someone, I have to find out what is it that annoys me so bad about that person, and it's usually a reflection of me and what I don't like about myself. So even though this is very different because this person's not in my life, they're just a troll or a hater. I had to kind of look at them and think like, what is annoying me so bad about this person? And it's just that I realized like, oh, because it makes me actually had to sit with my insecurities that they're calling out. Or realize I'm not okay at this point with how I look or my story. I feel like I'm not articulating myself. And even if everything they're saying is falling flat and not true, it's just kind of pulling on my insecurity and it's something I needed to sit with. And I need to realize when people are commenting things like this, they're being hateful and like it's usually a projection of themselves. So I had to deal with it by kind of just like seeking help in my friends and family, seeking reassurance, and then also simultaneously acknowledging that these people, if they were good, decent people, then, then maybe their words would have some weight. But since they're seemingly not, there's nothing I can do about it. And I just have to take it for what it is. The internet is a terrible place sometimes. And if I could sit with that reality, but also know that I'm going to go far despite, whatever these people are saying, then that was good enough for me. I just have to log off. I had to comment, block some words, and then I was good again. I just had to sit with myself and my feelings.
Hell yeah. Well,
Mhm.
I mean, kudos to you for getting through all that. And now you're on the other side of the storm. And while you get a little bit of hate comments here and there, like overall, you said things are medium to overwhelmingly positive, and that's good. And from sharing your story, now you're, going into management soon. So congratulations on that. Like that's
Thank
huge.
you. Yeah, I'm excited.
How did that come before we knew each other? Well, I guess we knew each other before Creator You, but did that happen before or after Creator You?
After, a couple weeks after, I believe, the head of the management team that's worked with Saikuno, like huge streamers, like offline TV and stuff, he had just like stumbled upon my Twitch stream. Maybe I had like 15, 20 viewers, and that's what it is. And he had it on in the background while he worked, and he told me something about that something about the way I responded to hate comments later on my Instagram or on the Twitch stream spoke to him. Something about my story. He saw, something he saw in other creators he worked with, and he wanted to try to get me on board because he saw something in me that he didn't see in a lot of creators. And I don't know, it's really interesting how it happened, kind of coincidence. The For You page on Twitch, the Explore page happened to recommend my page. And he realized that there might be something good here. We should try and see where it goes.
Oh, that's cool. That's very
Mhm.
cool. So, and we don't have to be specific about anything, but generally, like, this is something that I'm curious about too, and I'm sure a lot of creators are. What do you expect from management?
I'm a little bit bad at networking or cold calling, I guess, reaching out to sponsors, and I've never tried it in my life. And when I do have sponsorship emails, sometimes I miss them. So I kind of just wanted a team or like a mini team, like a guy or two, to manage my emails and take care of that for me. Some of the grunt work, essentially. And it's like they said in their words, like, we can help speak about you in rooms that you would have never been in, respectfully, like networking. And I would love if they can help me just get more brand deals. So I would hopefully just diversify my income because right now it's very skewed towards a brand deal occasionally or like donations. And I would love if they could help open up my pool of people I can talk to acquire brand deals and things like that.
Gotcha. So yeah, taking care of the little stuff that you don't necessarily want to focus on or don't even know how to do for some of it, right? I believe that when you're and I'm gonna treat you as an entrepreneur because that's what I believe all creators are.
Yes.
When you're an entrepreneur and you're running your own business, you only have like so much time in the day and only so much like mental bandwidth and skills. And I really believe that all creators should focus on the things that they're good at the most and then try to offload the rest of the stuff onto, everybody else, right? Whether you
Yeah.
hire contractors or find management to help you out,
Right.
things like that. And so that's really cool. You said you want to diversify your income. You do income breakdowns
Yes, I do.
quite often. And I think one time you not one time, it was like last month or the month before, you were like, I made what was it, 21K?
Yeah.
And a good chunk of that came from donations, right?
Yes.
Yeah. People reached out to me about that. They're like, "Yo, you know Lonnie, right? Like, what in the world? How did that happen?" I was like, honestly, I have no clue either. So, I guess now it's time to ask, what
Yeah, of
happened?
course.
Was that an outlier? Is donations, a just a umbrella term for other things that we may not know about? Because when people think about donations, they just think Twitch donations.
Hmm.
What was up with that?
I believe I had a patron come in 4 months ago on my Patreon. He subscribed to me there. He liked my cosplays and stuff I was doing. He wanted to support my mission. So he started popping into my Twitch streams and donating like 50, 100 subs, 200 subs. And he ended up texting me later. It's like, "Hey, like, I think you're really cool. Keep it up." And we developed like a friendship. And essentially, now to support my journey or whatever, he supports my dream of buying a house and stuff. He just happens to be an outlier that has a lot of money that supports what I do as streaming. So you will occasionally find like we call him an oiler or a whale, like a big donator come in here and there. You keep a relationship with them for however long it lasts. And the past few months, he essentially pays me for like dating advice in his personal life, relationship advice, or consulting, ask about social media to retain that relationship with me or just because he supports what I do. I will have an occasional outlier that will just send money without any questions asked to my Cash App or, my Patreon, and I will just count those as, umbrella term kind of donations from other sites.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. So it was one would you consider him like a client now? Because you said you do a little bit of consulting, or you still consider him like a patron because he just donates on the behalf of the mission, for
Mm,
example?
I don't know. I don't know what to consider him. Like, you can be whatever you want. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. I consider him more of a patron because everything that he says to me and, does, I feel like within our conversations kind of points more towards he just supports the cause and he has that feeling to it and that ambition behind just supporting me. So I feel like
Mhm.
because he leads with that in every conversation opener when he does text me throughout the month, I feel like it's more for the mission, so he would be more of a patron. It's not specifically
Gotcha.
only for clients. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you say you do take on social media clients too, right? That's another revenue stream. So I'm trying to piece this together because I should have had the breakdown up on the
You're
other
good.
screen. But I
Mhm.
think I hear Patreon, I hear and I don't know if consulting is part of it, but I'm gonna just say that's because it sounds like a one-time fee type of thing. You have
Yeah.
what else? You said the brand deals occasionally. So
Yes,
that's three
occasionally.
so far. I think we have talked about UGC, so I know UGC is four, right? What else am I
Yeah.
missing?
Dang. Let me pull up a tweet. Let me try to
Yeah,
remember.
let's get the
Yeah.
visual reference.
Yeah, let's see. Uh, I have it in here. Okay. So we have Instagram subs. I don't know how to turn that off. I kind of want to. It doesn't really do much for me. So Instagram subs, the TikTok creativity 1 minute long program, and then brand deals. I guess YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, and then ePal. I quit last month. I kind of just got tired of it. So and that's it. And then UGC and donations.
Is that where you can pay for people to play with you? EPAL? That's
Yeah,
that site, right? Yeah.
yeah, the video games. Yes.
So you're basically like duoing with people in Valorant and stuff like that.
Yeah, basically that's what I would do. Just hop on a game with them.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Which one's your biggest one right now? Besides the donations,
I think under that would be UGC and then brand deals.
UGC and
They're kind
brand
of
deals.
tied. Hmm.
Okay. I've started noticing a lot of people don't know what UGC is. Creators don't know what UGC is. It's I mean, it's still technically pretty new, but also kind of old depending on your perspective of the timelines. But how did you get into that, and what is UGC exactly for people who don't understand?
UGC it stands for user generated content. So it's usually where a brand will hire a content creator, even just a random person they found online that makes good quality videos to make videos for the company. You make videos for like a makeup or skincare company or some other company. You show off the product in your room with your your likelihood in your face. And you basically make a video, an ad. You make an ad for other companies, and the company takes your video and pays you for it. But they put that ad on their page, on the company page. So you don't really have to be associated with them besides probably just your face or your hands or your room. A lot of faceless UGC creators are out there. I started because my friend made, I think, like over $10,000 off one video because he was doing a mobile game ad for a big company. And I was in a tough spot at the time, and I was like, "Hey, like, I have all these followers. I don't know how to monetize. I don't know what to do with my skills in social media and video editing. Can I get in that program?" And he slid me an invite, and I started making ads too. So my top month, I think I made 6,000 off a couple of videos, and I just started doing UGC for an extra, couple hundred a month, couple thousand here and there, and I just started making those ads on the side. Even now, I do some occasionally too.
Very cool. Is that the same as TikTok Shop? I know that's something else that people might want to have a
Uh
distinction about.
It's not the same. There's a TikTok UGC program and there's a TikTok like e-commerce TikTok shop page. So those are separate. Those are completely separate. TikTok shop is more like a marketplace, like an Amazon or Facebook marketplace or online Target that you can shop at and get like home goods or, toys and fun things, makeup. But TikTok, creativity program, the ad program I'm in is like you make ads specifically for mobile game stuff usually. You can get into it and they'll mail you like perfume or something or like a product, but they're kind of shifting away from that now and they're gonna be dissolving the program and turning it into something else. So it
Mhm.
will be kind of mixed in with commerce, the e-commerce on TikTok soon. So that's actually very new and like information that's barely coming out to us now, but it's gonna happen. So
Ooh,
they're
okay.
separate for now. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then the difference is for people who don't know, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it is that when you do stuff on TikTok, TikTok UGC, TikTok Shop stuff, you're using your brand, your image, and likeness as yourself,
Mhm.
advertising the product, right? So it's like
Right.
you're kind of putting, you know, your stamp of approval ish on it, right?
Yeah, for
Um,
TikTok Shop.
yeah, and then
Mhm.
whereas if you do regular UGC in general, you're kind of like selling an advertisement video that you made to a company so then they can, like, use it.
Yes, but even on TikTok UGC, those are, like, free scrolling ads you'll see. Like, I'll do a mobile game ad for, like, a Tetris type game or a
Mhm.
word puzzle game, and my face will be at the top of the screen playing the game, but that
So the
ad will not be on my
accounts
page.
so
Yeah, that's
the ad will
on
be on a different account.
yes. It's like a free scrolling ad you'll come across. It doesn't have my name attached to it anywhere, which is kind of
Gotcha.
unique, but that's generally how UGC goes.
Mhm. Do you have any interest in continuing the UGC stuff since it's kind of like your second best earner?
I not really. I think in the meantime, I wanna do it for money. I'm doing it on the side right now. But when I had this really nice management dinner, they said, like, "I think you have the potential to do this full time, but your likelihood, just you. We would like one day it'd be nice if you wanted to and you're okay with that if we helped you step away from e-commerce and you can make it you can do things and make it sustainable just off your stuff and your streaming stuff and your story, I think there's a lot there. And just getting that wake up call from them saying like if I really stepped away for a little bit to focus on what I really wanted to do, I feel like there's a chance that I could do well in it. It's all up in the air right now, but after I got that pep talk for them, I realized like I've been feeling so burnt out with UGC the past couple months. I made like maybe an ad or two a week and I just feel burnt out. I
Mhm.
realize it's not what I wanna do. I obviously think chase the bag at the end of the day, but if there's a way for me to chase the bag and do well without UGC, I would love to do that.
Right, because I think
Mhm.
at that point, like, you would probably feel more like an ad agency, like a creative ad
Mhm.
agency rather than a content creator, because 'cause you're just
Yeah.
churning out things like a machine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I see people doing 50 ads a week, and that's how they take care of their family, like, couple kids, husband, wife, and I respect that so much. And it's definitely I do think you should do what you have to do, but at that point, it's just your whole job can feel so draining because I feel like you can lose your sense of self if you're just churning out ads for other companies all day and you kind of lost your creative spark for what you initially started social media for in the first place. Like it's about you, it's about your life, and now you're making ads, and it's just a tough spot to be in. I feel like.
Okay, okay. I totally get that. I'm also that type of same person. I'm very stubborn, by the way, just about things. Like I want to do what I want to do, and so
Yes.
I don't have a full time job on purpose because I want to do education full time. I want to teach and I want to
Yes.
work with creators. And so even though people have told me multiple times, friends out of love that like maybe I should get a full time job and then do this on the side. I want to commit everything to it. I'm kind of that type of person. So I totally understand because if I had a full-time job, I'd probably feel super soul sucking.
Right. And then you're not gonna even have the energy or passion sometimes to do what you truly wanna do, so it's difficult to find the balance for that. I'm sure you struggle with that too or, finding it out.
I think one of the biggest struggles it's actually feeling like um let me see how do you explain this to understand that you have privilege that's okay and to use that and that like I can use the privilege that I have to do good in the world you know
Yes.
because
Right,
there's a lot of
absolutely.
conversation about that like we're like oh this person's privileged but I guess like yeah, ultimately it depends on what you do with it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I see a lot of that in the money world. A lot of financial creators, they didn't come from poverty. They started out pretty well, but they still didn't have all the pieces. They were middle class, but how they became, for example, a millionaire that donates tens of thousands a year to good causes is they took their privilege and they acknowledged their privilege online and they said, here's how I can help the community that have less privilege than me or has a similar amount of privilege to me. Here's how you can get money or get right with the world and, your finances and your life. And it really is what you do with the privilege. I 100% agree with that.
Mhm. The let me see. I'm trying to break down your finances stuff. So brand deals is next.
Mhm.
Brand deals is predicated on your growth as a content creator.
Yes.
So where where are you going to next with that? Are you gonna stay on TikTok? Do you like IG better? Maybe do more stuff on YouTube? I know you like Twitch. I think Twitch will always be a staple. But I mean, as we probably know, like there's very little discoverability on Twitch, and you can't grow that without the other places. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna ask about where you want to take the other platforms.
Hmm. I I do really I mean, TikTok has a special place in my heart. It was the easiest place to blow up on. Even now, people say it's the easiest place to be discovered. But I find I do really well and I feel more connected on Instagram. I feel like because of the stories feature and the DMs and how often and how easy it is to respond to the comments, I find myself more active on Instagram. I feel like I'm more connected on Instagram and I've refined what I post on there a little more. My engagement is a lot better. For me, the algorithm, because I post so much, is rewarding me. Whereas I feel like on other places like YouTube and TikTok shorts, YouTube shorts and TikTok, I feel like the more I post on those platforms, I haven't found consistent viewership in probably like months. So I find I gain the most consistently and I feel more connected to the people on a platform. I would have to say that's Instagram Reels. Just for how it
Mm,
is.
okay.
Mhm.
What about YouTube long form? Because I know your bread and butter is shorts, right? Are you gonna do any
Yes.
long form later down the line? I mean, I looked through your YouTube a while back, and you've had stuff, vlogs and
Yeah.
things like that. By the way, we were in the same place together too. Just like we were both at VidCon.
Yeah. That's
I
funny.
I didn't know that.
Yep, that happens.
Yeah.
That's funny
Uh,
to think. Yeah.
So yeah, what is your opinion on long form YouTube?
I think long form's where it's at, and so many creators, um, I know you talk about it too with creators, but it's long, hard work. It's not instant, views. It's not as gratifying, but it's so much more worthwhile because once you obviously establish long form, I feel like people would be more connected to me, and they'll watch anything you put out at that point once they're connected to you and you create a long form video that does well and has substance to it. And right now, I don't know, I feel like the only thing in my heart that I wanna do is I want to stream. I like this type of content. I wanna put out gaming videos. I wanna put out chatting, YouTube long form videos. But I'm, like, trying to find my voice still in my content. And I
Mhm.
recently got a YouTube editor, so she's been helping me a lot these past few weeks, but
Well,
besides
let's go.
then, I took a long break from YouTube, not knowing how to figure it out, and I realized I gotta at least get out there and try. So, I got an editor now, I've been streaming 3 times a week, and I'm just trying to find a way to piece it all together. I
Mhm.
think long form's the future. I've been really pushing myself, putting out a video a week the past couple weeks, except for a bit like an upload that failed, I think last night or something. I have to get that fixed, but I've been trying to shift over to long form content and platforms. So YouTube long form videos and my VODs and stuff from my gaming streams. But I also want to shift to Twitch. I would like that to be a larger source of my income in the future. I want to mainly most of my content to revolve around what I do on Twitch. I think that's why I started social media. And it's the easiest platform for me to connect with people and explain things to the depth that I want to explain things to. And I'd like people to know me for my voice over, like, how I look, which is kinda how I got known for in the first place. I wanted to make that pivot and shift, especially this last year, I've been pushing hard for Twitch. So I think that's where I wanna go. I wanna go to YouTube, I wanna go to Twitch and lean on them more in the future.
Yeah. You're using, what I call sometimes, like, the sitcom model.
Mhm.
Do you know how sitcoms, used to be shot back in the day?
What's that?
Sitcoms are shows
Oh,
kind of like
sitcom, sorry, I
oh,
thought you
yeah,
said
yeah.
a different word. Okay,
Oh, my
yes.
bad. But
Okay.
yeah, do you know how they were shot back in the day?
No?
They were shot with a live audience, actually. So
That's
the laugh
crazy.
tracks that you hear are actually well, they were real people laughing in the background,
Mhm.
during the jokes, and so they would record, like, multiple episodes at a time. They would record, like, maybe 2 to 3 episodes at a time. The crowd would be there, they would interact with the actors and everything, and it would be like, there's the energy, right? Between the actors and the crowd, and the audience. And so that's why I think, there are people who are just kind of very natural YouTubers who like to script videos and plan that whole thing out, hit record, make the video, stuff like that. But then there's people, and I feel like it's a little bit more on the gamers side of things because we grew up on Twitch. It's so much more natural for us to interact with the audience and the crowd. And so you could, come into to stream with a couple of ideas that you want to talk about, things that you want to do, right? Something
Yes.
pre-planned. But it's still a little, still a little loose, right? Like a little
Mhm.
flexible. And you basically recording YouTube content live on Twitch. And so it's very similar to how sitcoms used to do it.
That's crazy, I never thought about it that way. That's very creative framing. I feel like that's a good point of reference for people, so they have something to look like positively about it.
Mhm. And you're a
Mhm.
people person, so it must be, like, super easy for you.
I think it's fun. I feel like I do have the most fun on Twitch. I mean, yeah, growing has been hard and consistent through the time, but once you actually sit down and I found myself committing to it, it feels like the most natural thing in the world, just turning on my stream and talking to people. I think it's really enjoyable, for sure.
Mhm. What do you have any advice for people who are maybe, like, feeling a little stuck and not sure what they wanna do, both in terms of well, actually, let's talk about the content side first, and then we could talk about the finance side after.
Sounds good, yeah. So you mean the same question but on the content side?
Oh, yeah, sorry, same question, but on the
Okay.
content side. Yeah.
So they're feeling stuck in their content, is that correct?
Mhm.
Dang. I'm gonna borrow some words from Kat Liente in her tweets that I feel like I see every other day. She says, if you're feeling stuck, just put something out or like to just try something. If you're feeling burnt out and bored in your routine, because usually you're burnt out and bored because you're stuck making the same type of video, try something new. One of my most viral videos when I first started out, I was really doing just cosplay makeup content. I was ranting to my phone on a TikTok live, eating like a instant noodle in my room with crazy like anime makeup on my face. And I just took that clip and randomly posted it because I was bored and my videos were flopping, and that video went super viral at the time and gained me 10, 20,000 followers overnight. And I think kind of in that same vein, maybe you won't have that level now, it's very saturated, but with the same energy, if you take that kind of, "Oh, let's see what happens," and you take that, I guess, that okay with failing mentality to social media and you just try stuff to see what sticks, I feel like that'll get you farther because you take the pressure off of you. You try something kind of funny, kind of silly, or something a little out of the norm for you, and it'll get you unstuck. It'll bring some inspiration in. So draft up a couple new series, probably try something new. I would say look up and follow a couple new creators that are doing something fun that you want to try out or like lean more towards in your content. So just
Mm.
reflect on yourself, start a journal, and have like a mood board of what you want to try next. I find that gets me out of a slump a lot of the time.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to kind of what you're going through right now, right? You said you're, like, in a discovery phase
Yeah.
where you're just trying a bunch of new things and it keeps stuff fresh.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I think I wrote to myself maybe a few months ago on my Notion board or my online planner. Try Let's do more money stuff. How much did you spend in a day? Follow these money creators. And I started doing more of that content, and my money content has been blowing up now. Or talk more about your disability. Try a story time. And I've been doing story times and they've been doing well. Like, you never know what's going to stick. Some of those videos, half of what I put down completely flops, and the other maybe quarter does really well. So you just have to, like, I feel like reflect, start a journal, and just see where it goes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's so you like it's that the answer is so on brand because it's about being honest, right? It's like being
Yeah.
vulnerable with like, hey, you know what? I don't know what I want to do right now, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna try things out.
Yeah, exactly.
On the finance end, what do you suggest for people who want to eventually, um, like make a pretty stable living doing this? I think the finance part is something that's it feels like an afterthought whenever I see creators talk online. Maybe they think about it all the time, but it's not something they talk about publicly, right?
Yeah, I noticed that
Um,
too.
and it's hard because like one of the things I think we talked about this too was how they combine all their finances into like one thing. So like they make some money here and there, but then they spend it on life stuff, right? So they have no money to reinvest back and they don't think about diversifying their income, all of these things.
Mhm.
Where would you like what's like the first step someone should take in order to kind of get everything um or what was the first step that you took? Because I'm gonna just do that whole thing. We're like, hey, this is not financial advice. We're not financial professionals or anything like that.
Right, right, right.
But what was like your first step? Or like if you were talking to a friend, to kind of just like get things checked.
I think you have to be realistic with where you're at. Like, first of all, before I started, I realized like, oh, I'm gonna make no money from this for probably a couple years, same as all the other YouTubers and streamers. I think everyone I've looked up to, they've streamed for at least 3 to 5 years, making probably no money. Unless you're one of those like edge cases or like outliers where that happens. But I realized like, hey, the younger I start social media, probably I would recommend closer to 18 though, because people are, strange and the internet can be cruel. Your brain wants to be developed, but the younger I started, I realized I could probably blow up doing this by the time I'm, like, 25 or something, or 23, so if I started younger, so that's why I started so ambitiously at 16. I knew it would take a while to get money, And until I had money, I was gonna work with what I have. I'm gonna stay at home with my parents, which is a huge privilege, but I realized I'm either gonna have to stay at home with them for a couple years, or I'm gonna have to get a side job. So I found side hustles as I got older, so I could afford to move out. I found social media and pushed hard, and I scaled up my income so I could afford to move out. But until that, I realized I'm gonna stay home and pick up a side job if I have to make sure I can afford my life. And I could also do social media on the side, and I think it's about being realistic. Every person, every streamer I've ever talked to about it, they say, "Yeah, stay home with your parents as long as possible, and if you have to move out, that's fine. But your content is gonna have to take a sidestep. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to just get a job and know that you can foster your creative spirit at night and go to work, your day job in the morning. It's gonna be okay. You just have to be realistic with what you're doing." So I kinda just held that close to me until I made it, like, or at least,
Mhm.
doing more stable now.
Alright, so it's just find the I guess, like, the easiest, most stable way to make some income first to kind of subsidize what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, to
gives
start
you a
out.
peace of mind, right?
Yeah, because at least you're gonna have no creative spirit or energy to work if you don't have any money. Just having that stability underneath, underneath your legs and, a house to be in, you'll be okay after that.
Mhm. What's, like, the easiest way to start making money online? Whether it's, like, a method or a platform, like, how would you suggest if they were like, "Yeah, you know what? I need to start making" well, not I need to, because 'cause let's just
Yeah.
assume now they have a full-time job, right? Or they have a
Yeah,
part-time.
right.
And they're like, "Okay, I wanna start making money. I wanna see, like, where this can take me." Like, what platform did they start?
I feel like if you're a natural entertainer, you should go the pay-per-view route. So I feel like at that point, YouTube and some other platforms pay you really well per view. Like if you're a naturally funny or entertaining person, I think just get online, make some skits, or do some trendy content, upload it to YouTube or something. I say like go the route where the big social media platforms will pay you because it's just so easy to upload a little bit something every day once you work it into your routine. So if you're a natural entertainer, you got that kind of personality that's charming, you might as well get paid per the view. But if you're a little more like tutorial based or a little more awkward of a person, I think those sites where if you think you can capitalize off of like your drawing or your behind the scenes content or like you are a pretty person, you're a model, you could put some of your content paywalled. I think that works. Like Patreon does huge for podcasters, people that are more they're personality based, but they're not maybe as funny, but people are still connected to you. So if you want to put tutorial content or you're modeling behind a paywall or your podcast and art behind a paywall, I think those sites then do really well for people, like the finance people selling like a $5-10 course or behind the scenes photo shoot people that are models. I think at that point the paywall stuff is done pretty well for me because I don't think I'm as like naturally funny or natural online. I think once people know me though, they want to see my behind the scenes stuff.
Mhm.
So that's what I'd recommend.
Gotcha. Yeah, it feels like, it's more about figuring out what your strengths are first,
Yeah.
and then after that, you can figure out what place you can go to kinda capitalize on that, right?
Absolutely, it is a self-awareness game. It's which can be tricky, but it takes you sitting with your content for a while, looking at it objectively, looking at the views and facing reality and be like, "Okay, where would my skills be appreciated by people in my community?" And you go from there. Absolutely.
Mhm. Do you budget for, like, let's say that you have an editor, right? Do you
Mhm.
budget for, like, software, for editors, for things that contribute to your business, and then what's your approach for that?
I make, like, a rough number amounts. When I started making more, I realized, like, "Dang, like, how do I manage this all?" And I kinda just have a tier list of things that are most important to me. So I have like, okay, the mass of my contribution I want to go to my retirement account this month. Well, the house first, then the retirement account is second.
Mhm.
And then after whatever's left, after I take big chunks out, obviously for retirement and my house, down payment I'm saving for, the rest I kind of call like fun money and bill money. Well, obviously fun and bill money. After bills, the third thing in the list, I have fun money. And I talked to my finance creator. And most of my finance creator friends, they say they don't believe in, some of them said they don't believe in budgeting really. Like that's fun money.
Ooh.
Spend your money, live your life. And after that, I was like, okay. So I started booking the occasional concert now. And I roughly budget. I'm like, "Oh, let me just throw a random number out," and I just change the number every month until I feel good about it. Like, I'm like, "I wanna pay an editor under 100, 150 for a first, project or 2 or something." So I, like, have a number that I kind of just make up. It changes every month, but I'm like, "I wanna spend under roughly 100 on subscriptions a month, 20 editor or 20 editing software because I edit my stuff." Maybe like 20 for Netflix, $30 for, 20 for Canva, $10 for Discord. So I'm like, let's just try to keep it under 100. I'm not gonna beat myself up if it goes over that. But I keep a rough budget. I'm like, let's try to be under 400 groceries, under this for bills, and the rest is fun money. Spend it, you know? So that's
Yeah.
kind of how it depends on my mood, how I budget.
That concept is actually very similar to, have you heard of Ramit Sethi?
Yes, he's so good.
Yeah.
I love his stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so he says that too, you know, that's his big concept of is like, don't over budget. I remember when I got into finance, in 2020, and there was like 2 people I was listening to at the time. It was Graham Stephan, and then it was
Mhm.
Ramit. And they're so different from each other because then Graham is like a super saver. Like the
He
dude
is.
will budget for like even like dinners, right? He would like, oh, only like maybe once a month I'll go out and have like sushi. But the sushi he's eating, and he lives in Vegas too. I know the place that he likes to go eat. It's this like, you know, it's not like a fancy place, it's like a all you can eat, like, sushi place too. So even then, it's still
Yeah.
he's still
He's the
saving money, right?
budgeter.
Yeah.
Even when I think I watched a couple of his clips too, talking about getting his condo or like him and his wife. It's like him and his wife shared a car, like they both drove beater cars for a long time, and that's how they got to their wealth. So it kind of just reminds me there's a lot of ways to get to where you want, but you should just work with your personality. If you're a little bit of an impulse spender, there's a financial creator I follow, like Tori Dunlap. She said, plan for it.
Mhm.
If like work around it. If you are a budget or you're a impulse spender, if you have the extra $20, just tell yourself, I'm gonna reward myself by putting into stocks or just like put money aside for you to enjoy life because there's no point holding on to all that money and not spending it if you have the extra money.
Yeah, and I think the mental stack too. For me, like, I'm like that. I'm one of those impulse spenders. I try to
Yeah.
budget too, but it's like if I'm really feeling boba that day, like then I'll fight myself, right? I'm like, oh, but
Yeah.
I need to save, and it's like it's $6, $7, inflation.
Yeah.
Boba's getting more
It
expensive,
it is.
but I'm like, oh man, do I not? Do I do it? And so I spend like 30 minutes going back and forth thinking about whether or not I should buy boba. Like,
That's
and
crazy.
that takes a mental load on you, you
Yeah,
know?
it does. Like, I think guilt is powerful, but kinda not in a good way. Guilt for some people is a powerful motivator. But once you get there, you achieve your dream body, achieve your dream goal, but it was all out of guilt, you're gonna feel terrible, and the whole time you're doing it, the journey feels terrible too. So I just tell people, like, don't guilt yourself. If you needed that coffee a couple times a week to get you through it or that boba, aren't you so much happier now? To work hard, it inspired you to go to work and have your side job and do your content, it just took a couple bobas to get you there. That's totally worth it. Like, when you level it out, guilt is not gonna do anything for you. Just spend the money. It's meant to be spent. So,
Yeah, and sometimes,
yeah.
actually, like, spending more money on things, like, well, the first, like, there's a concept of, like, buy nice or buy twice, which I totally
Yeah.
believe in because I mess that up with a couple of tech purchases sometimes, and I'm like, "No, I'm
Yeah.
getting, like, the nicer stuff." Like, obviously, it doesn't have to be top tier because there's, I forgot, diminishing returns. But, like, for example, I recently started getting my health in order,
Oh, good.
and I have been working out a lot more lately. Now, usually, if you go to like a local gym, like a Planet Fitness or something like that, right, or EOS, you'll pay 10 to maybe $20 a month. But I know myself, and the gym that I go to is one where like it's more like classes. You can't just go there and use the equipment. So
Okay.
I pay 160 a month, which is, exponentially like way more than what people normally would pay. But the thing is like now I have a responsibility to the trainer, right? It's like it's his gym, it's a smaller gym. So I have a
Right.
responsibility to him. I'm paying a lot of money, but also he's there to like teach me, keep me accountable. And so I think spending 160 got me in more shape like than ever would have if I spent like $20 a month and kind of went to the gym sometimes. And sometimes I'll try
Right.
to like negotiate with myself and be like, no, I don't have to go so hard. Like because he's there and because the equipment is there and because I don't have to, like wait for equipment and stuff like that. There's just all these stacks of positives that make the spending worth it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, because in a way, your money and the way you spend it can almost like hold yourself accountable. Like it's crazy. Like I had a gym membership for a long time, but I would get too anxious to go. So for I think like 6, 8 months, I was just paying that $20 fee and I never went. But when I had a personal trainer and my family paid that much more for me to go to therapy or physical training, I actually showed up because now you have a money commitment, you have a scheduling slot. And like if you read Atomic Habits, it reminds me of when he was talking about that guy, he was like, "Dang, I don't wanna go anywhere, I have no motivation for life, but I really like cars." if I buy myself this nice car, I promise I'll go to work, I'll scale up, I'll build a business. And he bought that car that he could barely afford, which not everyone can pull that off. But he bought the nice car in the book, and it inspired him to scale up his business and, do really well. Now he's making over 6 figures, and he can afford the car, he can afford his house. And it's just a mental game. You have to know yourself and what kind of spender you are. But I think money can motivate us. Like, the coffee. You can beat yourself up over buying the coffee, or you could buy the coffee and use that energy and that motivation to get you through the week.
Mhm. I love
Mhm.
Atomic Habits, by the way.
Yeah, me too. It's a
Yeah,
great
it's a
book.
very good book. And about the nice car thing too, it's another weird mental thing. I think it was literally the first chapter, but it was about like embodying like the type of person you want to be. So
Yeah,
instead of saying like, "Oh, I don't," like I'm trying to quit smoking versus I'm not a smoker, you like self-identify as a non-smoker, right? So
right,
buying the car or going to the gym or like whatever you do for yourself, you embody that identity, and then it helps you make that change a lot faster.
right. It is such a mental game. Like, a lot of students or college students figure out or struggle with their identity and who they want to be. But if they just make that instant shift or like give themselves a little bit to adjust, but they tell themselves, I am on top of my work. I am a good student. I pay attention. You can just come to class and decide that's the day you want to start over or become this new version of yourself. And you'll get there faster when you embody it. And I think that's a great point.
Mhm. Is this basically manifesting? Is that what everyone's talking about?
I've heard a mixed reviews on the book, or at least in that section. People say it's either manifesting or it's fake it till you make it. I kind of see it as fake it till you make it. It's like a more complicated or like almost a simpler way of saying it, like a really deep way of saying fake it till you make it. I feel like embody it.
Yeah.
Start today, start randomly, and I'm like, oh, so we're pretending until we become that person.
Yeah, because I noticed, like, lately, I guess maybe within the last, like, year or so, like, people have been talking about manifesting this and manifesting that. So I guess that's, like, whatever floats your boat, right? Whatever works for
Yeah.
you mentally to just get you to, get closer to where you wanna be.
Yes. I think they're all the same. I feel like there's just 3 different ways to say it, and you put in a hat, and you just whatever works for you, you call it that. That can be your slogan. Whatever gets you through the day.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We've hit an hour, and I think we should close out soon.
Okay.
What creators, what financial creators, do you really like to listen to, and you think people should listen to if they want to learn more? Besides you, of course.
Okay. Of course. For women, I recommend Tori Dunlap. She talks about, like, the obstacles and invisible barriers women face and how she scaled up to a multi-million-dollar business helping other women. Your Rich BFF, former Wall Street girly.
Mm.
Ramit, he's really good. Let me think.
Do you listen to
Imran,
Rose?
who's that?
Rose Dang?
No, I don't. I've been
Should
meaning to get into a few more people.
Ooh, okay. So I guess that's my suggestion for you.
Budgetnista. Okay, I'll write it down after. I'd recommend the Budgetnista. She accidentally got scammed out of $30,000 when she was a young teacher, and now again, multi-million dollar business that she owns, and she's written a couple books. She's incredible. Her name's Tiffany. And then who else? Imran. I went on his stream before. He's great with money. I think he's really helpful. And that's all I can name off the top of my head. Oh, and Graham. His videos are so funny. I love his podcast.
Yeah.
He's like
Oh, the iced
very he's
coffee
just
hour
very
is really good.
Yes. He's just so funny. They have such dry humor, and I think their tips are very practical, a very, like, what's it called? A very straightforward way of how to get to a financial goal, and, you know, they they have a bunch of different people on their podcast. It's so fun. So I think
Mhm.
they give good practical advice. And then do you have a couple that you'd like to share?
Let me see. It's been a while, because I've been so business focused, and which is funny because then money is the language of business. So I should
Yes.
actually get back into um focusing more on the finances of things, but I've been so operationally focused. So, but I know like Rose is good, Graham is good. If we are talking about money, my mentor Christo, he has a channel called The Future. They usually teach creatives how to make a living doing what they love, and a
Oh,
lot
wow.
of it's like negotiations, pricing your work. If you want to look at that, like that's really helpful too. A lot of what I've learned about personal branding um, or strategies to help you like price your work as a consultant and whatnot. Like he does really good work there. Every once in a while, I listen to like Alex Hermosi. He's another pretty good one. Although there are some times where it's not as applicable because he's like obviously a multimillionaire now, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes the strategies that he shares apply more for people at his level than at yours. So it's like you gotta have what do you call it? The ability to pick and choose what's relevant to you, or at least like scale the advice down back to where you're at.
Right, that's a good skill to
Yeah.
have, it makes sense. It happens with a lot of creators, like, to discern what is gonna apply to you and whatnot.
Because if, for
Mhm.
example, like if we're gonna bring up something a little controversial like crypto, right?
Okay.
If you want to invest in crypto, like some people are like, oh yeah, I could afford to put like 5% of my portfolio in there, 5 or 10%, and 5 or 10% of the portfolio is like maybe millions of dollars, right? Because like it's like
Right.
whatever for them, but then 5% of your portfolio could be like if could literally be like $10,000, and that is might be a lot to you. So it
Right.
kind of depends on the scale. So you can't just take the advice one to one.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Cool. Do you have any like I guess lasting topics you want to talk about, advice, things that you really just want to get out there after, having a little bit of back and forth about finances, content creation, anything like that, mental health.
I
What
don't
was
know, I didn't
yours?
think. I didn't prep or anything. I didn't, like, think no, not really.
Not
I think
really?
we covered
Okay.
a good amount of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Is there
yeah, no,
anything
I
you
think
wanted? The closing topic statement, anything?
oh wow, that's funny. I've never been asked that before as the host.
I don't know. Like, any
Yeah.
last minute or anything, you scrapped, but you think is kinda interesting to bring up now or, you
Oh,
know?
okay. Let me see. Oh, you know what? Something that it's this is more of like a personally for me type of question,
Yeah.
right? But then like what does your mom and your aunt think about all this? Like coming from an Asian family. Like I mean you're still going to school, which is fine. It's not like you dropped out, so it's not, you didn't sin.
Yeah,
But
no, yeah. Um, well, let me think. I think my dad, when I started doing content, UGC stuff, like, that was all I was doing. He thought I was doing OnlyFans, so he didn't approve at all. I told my parents, "Oh, I'm streaming now and stuff." Like, in high school, my dad thought I was doing, like, OnlyFans. So he really did not like what I was doing. I think he still thinks I do that, so he doesn't like it, but I see him, like, a couple times a year at family stuff, so it's okay. My mom is super supportive. I think initially she didn't like it either. She thought I was also doing OnlyFans, which, no shade or anything, but she grew into it. She realized like that's how my fashion is, that's how I present myself. And she realized a lot of my content actually shifted away from more about, my story and less about how I look. So she's especially supportive now because I'm doing more storytelling stuff instead of like makeup fashion stuff where she could see places where modeling agencies or people online would want to be kind of exploitative towards me.
Mhm.
It took a little bit for us to get to this level of understanding. Now she would, like, cross out my stories and say, like, "Hey, you need to take this down." If she didn't like how my makeup was or something or, like, the outfit I was wearing, she thought I was doing some other stuff, but now we're at a point where we understand each other. She supports me full stop and my creative journey and my vision and my fashion, and my aunt is the same way. Sometimes they don't like how I dress, but besides that, they said, like, "Lonnie's a good kid. She's doing fine. She should keep doing this because it's working and she enjoys it, and it's something that is, like, fulfilling to me." So, it's taking a bit. Some of my family members don't like it, some of my, cousins and stuff, but I don't really listen to them, so it's okay.
Yeah, you're on
It
your own journey. That's good.
Yeah,
I I
yeah.
I think the one thing I learned about you the most, like while talking to you now and getting to know you more, is that like you have a really strong mental.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I did think
Mhm.
like that's one of every time I talk to a creator, everybody is like on a different timeline for their own journey. I don't think there should be like a hard set. Okay, if you do the content, you should be successful like 2 3 years in, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's version of success is different. So when I'm thinking about this, it's like or when I'm talking to creators, I'm like, what are like a couple of attributes that make them successful in their own way? And I think for you, it's definitely um, it's just your acceptance or like your willingness to be vulnerable. That's like one, your ability to understand um storytelling and the importance of it, and then the third one is just like having a really strong mental.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I really do think it's like the entertainment industry, it's some form of it. It's really cutthroat. And I heard this quote that really stuck with me, I think maybe a few weeks ago on some clip I saw online. There's a girl talking about content creation and it's her full-time job now. And she said the level of hate and that threshold that you can handle directly correlates to how much success you're gonna find as a creator. So if your threshold for hate is larger and troll comments are larger, you're just gonna succeed and do a lot better online. The minute that starts to affect you too much, or you let it dictate your entire content, like it's kind of game over sometimes, or it'll slow you down. So I thought dang, that stuck with me because it's such a blunt way to say it. But the more hate you can handle, the more success you're gonna have, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Mhm.
100%. And I
Yeah,
think that's a good place to end it,
I
you
think
know?
so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you for
Alright.
having me on.
Thank you. Where can people find you?
Oh, a lot of EXE on every platform. Yeah,
Every
thank you.
platform. Alright.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.